Welcome, everyone. We will take a couple minutes to let everyone join, and then we will mention the giveaway that we are doing for this webinar.
Excellent.
So for those of you that are joining, we are hosting a fun giveaway today of $100 Visa gift card. So to enter the drawing, drop in the chat what tools or hardware, so screens, players, or apps you're currently using for your internal communications. And then you will be entered to win, and we'll contact the winner after the webinar.
Prizes. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for putting in the chat what you're currently using. Helps us understand who we're speaking to today. So again, for those of you that just joined, we are doing a fun giveaway of a $100 Visa gift card. To enter to win, please drop in the chat what tools or hardware, screens, players, or apps you're currently using for your internal communications. And then we'll contact the winner after the webinar.
Fantastic. I'm seeing some usual suspects.
Absolutely.
Great.
Awesome. Feel free to continue to drop in the chat what you're currently using, or if anything comes to mind. We will be doing a Q&A at the end of the webinar, so please stick around for that. We'll try to address chats as they come in throughout, but if we don't get to your chat, please put them in the Q&A and we'll be sure to address at the end. With that being said, I'll hand it over to Kelly and John, who will be hosting today's webinar.
Super. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. I'm Kelly Smith. I'm an account executive with Carousel Digital Signage, and I've been with Carousel for 17 years next week, which is kind of crazy. I've been helping customers make informed technology decisions for 22 years now, though. So obviously I started when I was like 5.
Me as well. Hi, everybody. My name is John Caswell. I'm the sales director for Carousel Digital Signage and responsible for our U.S. and Canadian sales operations. I've been involved in the large account sales for SaaS solutions and hardware for over 25 years. And I've been with Carousel for just over 4 years now. And I'm a second generation University of Kansas Jayhawk graduate. Looking forward to today's presentation. Nice to meet everybody.
All right, today we're going to be covering a few things. We're going to talk about how to maximize your current assets. We're going to talk about dedicated players versus content feeds and what those are. How to streamline your IT security, simplify mixed hardware deployments, and then at the end, we're going to do a Q&A.
Fantastic. So Carousel has been in existence for almost 30 years now. So we've been here for a minute. And I like to highlight that when JJ Parker, our CEO, was originally starting out, he was working for with an integrator, and part of his position was to teach teachers in high schools to use their digital signage software. And this was software written by engineers for engineers, which has never caused a problem before. And what he realized was that there was an awful lot of time and energy into creating signage experts out of subject matter experts. And the idea came, what if we made this easier? And there was really the birth of Carousel Digital Signage, which was probably the first, if not the very first, content creator centric or content creator oriented digital signage content management solution. It's really designed for end users who are not signage experts, but are subject matter experts. So we've been doing this for some time. And in this experience of building on premises software and building our own hardware, and then migrating to a SaaS only solution, we've developed a tremendous amount of expertise with a software solution that is easy to use and easy to scale and is hardware agnostic, that has almost 30 years of experience behind it, starting out early in the very beginning of this environment to where we are in this brand new uh, signage environment across all the verticals that are currently using digital signage.
Absolutely. And, signage environments have changed quite a bit too over the years. When I first started having discussions with customers years ago, there was typically like no existing infrastructure, everything from kind of the screens on the walls to the cabling behind the screens. It was all new. There were still some folks new to signage now, which is great. But more often than not, we're replacing something that, was once quite comfortable, or a hardware solution that, kind of shifted and moved to be a little bit more challenging than it originally was to manage. And customers are looking now, to make a change or to pivot to something different. Often some of these older solutions have been in place for, 10 to 15 years. And maybe you've outgrown the solution, or you're just no longer, kind of it's checking the boxes like it once did. At the end of the day, our goals change. Staff changes. The way we use our spaces change. And many customers have unique challenges too, like larger organizations, often different departments are kind of managing different systems. Perhaps you've added a new conference room platform, or you want to leverage screens kind of outside of your spaces in a different way. The variety of platform options open up the possibilities of using your hardware to serve multiple purposes, right? Which allows you to reach your audiences with targeted content in all of your spaces. And let's not skip over the fact that justifying costs is much easier when you can use these devices to perform multiple functions. What we're trying to do is just make it super, super easy for you to reach all of your goals with your existing tech.
Excellent. Thanks, Kelly. I really appreciate your highlighting sort of the current signage environment that we see out there, because you still have groups that have never used digital signage. I recently worked with a municipality that was moving from bulletin boards to digital signage. We have other groups that have an amalgam of different solutions that have been purchased by other departments over the years that now they're in charge of, and they're looking at, hey, what's our current environment? How do we want to centralize? And as Kelly highlighted, we have other groups that have been using digital signage and a digital signage solution for quite a few years, but have now outgrown it. They've moved beyond what it was originally designed to do, and now they're looking at new solutions while also wanting to leverage some of their existing hardware or the infrastructure that they can. And we feel a lot of this is happening now because signage has fundamentally moved from years ago being a nice to have, and that's kind of cool in front of the business school at the university, versus it's now a must have. And digital signage plays a mission critical role in fulfilling internal communication, strategy needs. But institutions are looking for ways to communicate internally. Digital signage fills that gap increasingly. But when we look at your environment, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I feel it's the term digital signage itself has shifted meaning, right? It's not just kind of getting the messages that are on the screens that are physically on the walls anymore, right? It's a communication platform. It's allowing you to reach your audiences kind of wherever they're at. And at the end of the day now, it's, everywhere, and that changes daily, right?
Absolutely. And that also highlights that consideration of, hey, what's our current environment? We have physical displays up, but do we have a remote workforce that could benefit from digital signage content appearing on their company issued computer or on their personal devices? Do we have a group of students that would benefit from digital signage content, not just existing on walls, but actually on their individual personal devices? That type of thing goes into consideration because we talk again about what's your current environment. When you're thinking that through, trying to figure out what are our communication goals and how can we use digital signage or components of a digital signage content management solution like Carousel to reach all of those individuals. So a lot of times we're really talking to people about, hey, what type of environment are you in? What does your post-COVID posture look like? We saw a lot of institutions centralized down because of IT having a help desk. And so IT ended up becoming the primary signage, uh, the arbiters of signage. And that's fine for a period of time. But now we see a lot of groups looking to unwind that. IT is willing to set up all the infrastructure, make the appropriate decisions around media players and displays, but they want to move away from any type of content creation and push that towards strategic communications, marketing, or individual departments. That's a lot easier to do if the solution you have is scalable and is really easy to use. So we've found that a lot of groups will come to us and say, hey, we're in a new environment now. What's best? What's the best answer for us? And of course, I'll often highlight that best is a very relative term, right? Like, for example, what's the best way to get around town? I have an old 66 Chevy pickup truck or a new motorcycle. Well, it really depends. I mean, how much gas do you have and what is it that you're trying to do? So we tend to take that attitude and focus at, hey, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with your digital signage deployment? What are those communication goals? Because we can highlight what's best is what's going to map both in your, since we're agnostic to hardware, what's going to work best with the hardware you currently have and where you want to go in conjunction to Carousel Cloud and its ability to leverage your existing hardware, your future hardware, and some of these other communications tools we've just touched on.
Absolutely. Let's talk about media players.
Media players. All right. Oh, I'll keep talking. Hey. So you've got two different kinds often in this environment. You've got the dedicated player that everybody's accustomed to, right? You've got a display, you've got the media player, and you've got the system that's feeding the media player content and putting that up on the displays. Very classic and very widely used. Carousel supports a majority of the media players that are commonly utilized in the signage environment. And we also work on an increasing number of system on a chip solutions where the media player is baked into the actual display. And we're able to use multiple zones within dedicated players to display a broad amount of information at one time. But then additionally, you have content feeds. And we'll get into the more detail here, but think of content feeds as opposed to the traditional signage, which is one-to-one. One display, one media player. You've got one-to-many with content feeds. So perhaps I have a group of information I want to go to all my employees. I have the ability to do that with a feed because it's one message, maybe 10, 12, 15 slides going to a large group of people. So I can reach people individually through our digital signs in a location, but I also have the ability to reach out and use content feeds to reach one individual or 1,000 people with the same message all at one time. So, Kelly, your thoughts on specific media players?
Yeah, we support a lot of different options. You've got your bright sign players, you've got system on a chip displays, which, have the built-in players like Philips, LG, Sony, Windows-based players, Chrome, Amazon signage sticks, Bluefin, Zoom, Immersive, Apple TVs, Macs, and iPads. Obviously, there's a lot of options, and there are definitely things to consider when choosing a platform. A lot of those considerations depend on what your content goals are in your different spaces, and what different media players support that content. But the awesome thing is that many times we talk to customers that haven't thought necessarily about putting signage here or over there. And they've already got, kind of the tech in these spaces to do it. With our support of so many options, extending your reach doesn't necessarily have to be an afterthought.
Absolutely. And certainly, and we just discussed these content feeds, but here's some actual sort of examples of this, because think about a content feed as being a lightweight player that is really for targeted communications. So you could have a screensaver, which is how we originally developed the content feeds for screensavers during COVID. This can live on mobile devices, on tablets, can be embedded into a web page, can be utilized to broadly get your message out. And this is really important because we look at groups that have, we mentioned before, remote workers, where you might want, it's hard to remember, hey, which Teams chat or Slack channel was I on for that conversation? Whereas you can have key information being fed to your employees worldwide through feeds directly to their computer. Oftentimes we'll be talking to groups that say, hey, I've got Teams rooms or Zoom rooms that aren't being widely used when they're not being used as Teams rooms. Well, this one-to-many philosophy works fantastically here, because you could use a single Stream license to light up 5 Teams rooms, 20 Zoom rooms, 1,000 Teams rooms. It's the same information going to these locations. So it's a highly effective, I'd say, force multiplier solution baked into Carousel to act more as a communications solution than simply a digital signage solution, because I can subscribe to a particular content feed as a new hire employee. So now I receive all of my HR information through that feed. Or I could subscribe to the freshman class feed, or at a university, I could subscribe to intramural athletics, and I automatically receive updates and schedules for athletics. I can even click through on those notifications and sign up for an HR presentation next week, or for a soccer team that I'm going to play on as early as tomorrow. So content feeds are a very powerful component of Carousel's overall content delivery strategy.
Absolutely. And you've got, of course, your dedicated players, and you've got your content feeds, kind of your different ways to reach people. But, deciding on a solution and deploying it successfully hinges on many things, of course, including those. But at the end of the day, the biggie there is too that, if the solution isn't easy and it doesn't fit into your users' current workflows for creating content, then they won't use it, and your content's going to get stale pretty quick too. We really strive to provide tools that you're already using, with key integrations like with Canva, with the Google Suite and Microsoft Suite of products, like calendar integrations and templates, just dragging and dropping in content from other applications that your teams probably use, regularly. These types of features are key to both net new users of a content management system platform, and also to users transitioning from one solution to another, kind of keeping them in that same comfort zone that they've been currently in.
Absolutely. Kelly, you bring up a really good point too, because you can create content within Carousel, and our own content creation uh, functionality is fully baked in. At the same time, if groups are already using things like Canva or Google Slides to create content, they can simply drop it into Carousel, and they're done. So being able to create very exacting, very specific channels within Carousel as an enterprise capable solution is very easy to do, and at the same time super easy to bring in content that you've already been creating using other solutions and bake it right into Carousel. So fantastic.
it can be quite challenging to talk to someone out of something they're so comfortable in, right? And no, let's do something else.
Right. But they can keep using it and put it right into a new solution. Everybody wins. So
Exactly.
put that effort into those integrations.
Let's talk about how we can make it a little easier for IT too.
We can. I'll keep talking. So we, as a SaaS solution, have put a lot of effort into overall security. Security has always been an issue, but I think we all know from your Ninja trainings or any other solutions where you've been trained on how not to be spearphished and how not to compromise security, that remains an ever-present and increasingly important issue. And Carousel has put forth a lot of effort to ensure that we have a SOC2 Type 2 certification on the IT security side. We have state ramp credentials. We have text ramp certification. We do support single sign-on and multi-factor authentication as well. And we are working towards being an accessibility level as high as is possible. We're working with an independent third party that's highlighting things that we can change. So we plan on being 2.1 AA compatible in the near future. And accessibility tends to go hand in hand with security. And we'll talk more about how our security pertains to actual individuals. But as a SaaS solution, we have the security posture that generally makes it very easy for IT departments to understand how Carousel functions, our overall architecture, and that will be a safe addition to an organization's SaaS solution platforms. Additionally, I want to talk about something very important, and this is not unique to Carousel, but it is important in what we deliver, and it's also a component of our company philosophy, and that is unlimited users and admins. Carousel never charges for adding users or administrators to any size deployment, whether it's core, small deployment, pro, medium size to large, or enterprise, thousands of displays. You can have an unlimited number of users at any time. We never charge for it, and we make it very easy to add those individuals. So you never have to worry about the seats that you're licensing when you're looking to expand. And this can be very important based upon the new workflows you may want to adopt after consolidating your existing signage and understanding what your communication goals are. You may move from a centrally content creation environment to a broad multi-individual content creators working at one time. Carousel supports that. And we do it also as more of a company philosophy, this idea of democratizing content creation. You're already a subject matter expert. Getting your content up there should be easy without becoming a signage expert. So we'll talk more about that, but I do want to highlight we never charge for additional users or admins, and you can add an unlimited number of both to any deployment of Carousel Cloud. Well, John, that sounds like a lot of work. We have a ton of people now that want to create content and participate and see their pet of the month or their design or their department's schedule up and running on digital signage. We understand that as well. One of the things that makes Carousel so effective as a scalable enterprise solution is that we have extensive and granular permissions that are baked into Carousel's platform. So we make it really easy that for individual users to only see what it is they are responsible for. So I can be, as an example, an administrator, and I can see all 2,026 displays that we have through 6 locations on 4 continents, all the way down to I only see one zone, which is just one area of a single display on the north end of a building, because that's the business case I have for publishing content for this organization. Sometimes I'll say, in a cup or in a cone, Carousel can deliver it however you want. The permissions that we utilize for our users and the approval workflows that those allow make Carousel really effective at scaling out when you reach the point that you want to do that. Because we allow unlimited number of users and we make it very easy to manage and control those users, the access they have, what they can create, and what they can publish into production, both on their own or with permissions. So highly effective at allowing groups to grow and then control what those individuals are allowed to do within your overall communication strategy.
We also provide the training and support that you need to ensure success throughout your organization. This way, the IT team can focus on what they need to, while trusting that the resources are there for new users and admins to utilize Carousel without extensive handholding or training. We provide resources like our creator library, where you can easily upload like pre-made channels, template collections, and content to make it super, super easy to get something great on your screens really, really quickly. We also provide training resources that are easily accessible through our UI via what we call Carousel Academy. The Academy is our online learning platform, and it walks through anything and everything Carousel via these short little videos or PDFs that you can download. So you've always got training at your fingertips at any time should you run into anything. Our training team also hosts like regular webinars. So if you prefer more of like a live training approach, you can join and register one of those. Additionally, we offer technical support as well as support from our customer success team, who are just an amazing group of individuals. They're there to help you game plan and to strategize how to efficiently deploy and manage your digital signage rollout. And they can talk through things like best practices that are specific to your organization and help talk through and organize kind of the goals that you're trying to accomplish there as well.
Mhm. Kelly, thank you very much for highlighting customer success, because oftentimes we'll find that customers will sign up with Carousel and they want to replicate their existing workflows. It makes perfect sense. And as they do that, they start to see avenues for growth. They want to include additional people and look at different workflows. They can engage our customer success team, not just for their initial onboardings, but later on down the line to help them look at what they're looking to do and what the best way, because you may have 4 ways of achieving this goal, what the best way given their environment and Carousel is for them to pursue that particular workflow. So I really want to highlight, Kelly, thank you again, that our customer success team does a great job, and they are a dedicated resource in conjunction to everything else that we have as an organization to allow our customers to actually succeed with their digital signage now and as they move forward and change workflows and add people. We're there to help them with those changes and recommending best practices at all times. Really helpful.
Absolutely. And I just want to note too, the training component, Carousel Academy is a pretty awesome resource as well. For years and years, we did hourly training. And that was something that you could pay by the hour and have, kind of live one-on-one training. Well, it was great for a long time. But what we very quickly realized is that we're all human. And us humans tend to forget things very easily. And so, when you would, you go through training, you learn all the pieces and parts that you need. And then next week, and you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, what was it that they said? It's part of kind of how we're all wired. But Carousel Academy has been pretty awesome, and just having it there, anytime you need it is invaluable.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the real world, and how do people use it, right? One of the most awesome aspects of digital signage initiatives is that regardless of the organization that you are a part of, signage helps you streamline your communication. It helps you build brand recognition, trust, and community within your organization. These efforts allow visitors and employees to feel welcome within your spaces and informed no matter where they are. Signage goes in all kinds of places in organizations as well. If we'll move to the next one, we often see signage in like lobbies and entrances, like welcoming guests or visitors. Or sometimes this can become kind of like a showroom area of sorts. By the way, my name has been on a lobby screen twice as a greeting when I have visited folks before. And both times I still remember, and this was many years ago, and my head got like super, super big both times. But we also sit in break rooms, right, for employee communication, HR to put your company values out there, right, in conference rooms where you can display like data dashboards, current quarterly goals or annual goals. You can recognize guests or just have your Wi-Fi password up, right? I think that's probably the most commonly asked question in that space everywhere, in hallways and elevator bays and in cafeterias and like at your building exits and things too.
Absolutely. So one of the great utilizations of digital signage is within the higher ed environment. And to all of our higher ed attendees, you guys are really falling sometimes into this. What's your current signage environment? Because higher ed is notorious for having multiple solutions that do the same thing by different departments. So in my experience, the business school always has something because they've got plenty of money, right? And another group had a grant and they were able to buy something, but that has since expired. And that product's been running maybe unsupported for the last year or so. And of course, the engineering team, they built their own solution for digital signage, but that engineer, she took a job 2 years ago with another organization. So now you have a disparate number of signage solutions on campus. Carousel is exceedingly effective at sitting on top of those solutions. So a legacy Windows Nooks or Chrome sticks are out there bought by other departments, because I know no one has ever in higher ed bought something and paid for it and then went to IT and say, hey, can you make this work? We just bought this yesterday. It's shiny. I want it to run. These things happen. So when we're talking about doing what you can with what you currently have, we see a lot of groups, sometimes particularly in higher education, the IT or the signage team is inheriting disparate solutions. And there's nothing wrong with them, but they're all split up. If you can put Carousel on top of those tools and provide yourself centralized command and control of those disparate solutions, it really is helpful, because now the organization can start thinking about, all right, now we have control over these and we're using them to our best of our ability. What do we want to centralize on moving forward? Is there a different type of media player or group of media players that meet our needs? And how well can we do that in the future? So I really want to highlight that higher ed is a great environment for the use of digital signage, and they're a unique environment for doing more with less, or doing more with what you currently have, because oftentimes you'll have solutions from other departments, other initiatives that you're now in charge of handling, in charge of managing, and in charge of life cycling. So Carousel can be exceedingly helpful in those environments for higher ed.
Absolutely. In the corporate space, we used to see a lot just kind of in the video wall, kind of that lobby presence. Now it's used, much more in a variety of different ways. Most often now, certainly for internal communications for employees, helping to kind of build that brand, that culture, and to get HR messaging out. Now too, like each floor, might be, of course, a different business unit within your organization. They've got their own communication goals in different departments. Perhaps you've got offices like spread out through different cities. For example, we've got a lot of retail customers that use Carousel for their internal communications, like in their headquarters. But they also deploy to, their stores, right? For both back of the house communication to keep the employees engaged, up to date on promotions and HR information and community events and that kind of thing. But also for customers, that are walking in the door of those spaces as well.
Absolutely. And sort of a combination of higher ed and corporate is oftentimes healthcare. And digital signage is increasingly being used in the healthcare environment. Probably many of the people on this particular webinar have had to sign in recently on using an iPad and filling out your information and then seeing your name displayed on a screen if you're going to be admitted to for an appointment or otherwise. So we've traditionally seen digital signages in medical and healthcare environments simply for wayfinding or for office numbers, doctors' names, locations. But increasingly, we're seeing with huge institutions having massive hospitals or whole medical networks is the use of digital signage when you arrive, but digital signage wayfinding throughout an institution, throughout their facility, but also, as Kelly was saying, information back of the house. So digital signage in break rooms for employees, digital signage that makes sure that the individual employees and staff are aware of what's happening in addition to what's going on outside customer facing. We do work with a number of partners because healthcare tends to require different integrations, and Carousel is robust enough and is an enterprise level enough of a solution that with integrations we can run in very, very complex medical environments, which are also highly secure.
Absolutely. And then, lastly, we've got the manufacturing environments. And these can often pose kind of unique challenges, right? Because often employees on the floor, may or may not have access to company computers, but they need to, of course, be reached with kind of pertinent communication around safety, around HR. Digital signage placed, strategically within these spaces where people congregate, entrances and exits, for example, is a perfect way to reach employees with the information that they need here. Again, we support your hardware of choice. Bright sign, system on a chip displays like Philips, LG, Sony, Windows-based players, Chrome, Amazon signage sticks, Bluefin, Zoom, Immersive, Apple TVs, Macs, iPads. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate all of your time and consideration.
Thanks, everybody.
Claire, do we want to run through real quick more information about the drawing?
Yes, sorry, I was coming off mute. Thank you again, everyone, for joining today. We're going to launch a quick poll to understand how we can best follow up with you. So if you can answer that poll, and then we'll dive into Q&A. So if you have any questions for Kelly and John, please post in the Q&A, and we will address those.
No doubt somebody wants to hear me keep talking. Great question. You should be able to currently use your current Chromebooks, and I wouldn't say we have a kiosk app per se, but we could certainly look at how we could utilize Carousel within that Chromebook environment.
I think you might be able to configure it through the admin console to go into kiosk mode.
Again, feel free to post any questions you have in the Q&A, and we will address those.
And most times Carousel will overlay on top of existing tools. It'll be somewhat limited by the capabilities of that hardware, that legacy hardware that's being utilized, but can still generally know that it's on and deliver content to those devices. Anybody? The AI question. Thank you very much for asking, because we recognize that AI is increasingly an issue to be discussed and to be investigated by everybody that's involved in digital signage. And our roadmap is under development currently with the use of AI, because there are a number of things to consider on the AI front. The ability to utilize it within your software is one thing, but it opens a door. A lot of times in our conversations with groups that are interested in knowing, hey, if you're going to invest or you're going to make AI, we have to know about it. We want to know what impact that's going to have on your software, what impact that have on our overall level of security. So AI is a very complex topic, particularly when it comes to digital signage. And it's something that we're looking at very seriously on how to prudently utilize it within our application. The idea of being able to tell Carousel to do something and have it create a custom channel for you is very intriguing. At the same time, we want to take into account the balance of, we have thousands of customers that have tens of thousands of media players deployed using Carousel digital signage. AI is something we want to be very careful about how we address and how we implement it, because of the impact it can have on existing and future customers.
I think too that we're always interested in hearing feedback, as well as obviously the possibilities of AI are a lot. Like, how would you envision utilizing it, right, for digital signage within your current workflows, and how would it kind of help you be more successful? I know our teams always love hearing, any ideas that you have. So certainly feel free to reach out to us and let us know too.
Great question. Thank you. For the feed to employees, especially on manufacturing floor or on the road, need to download the app to their devices. Yes, for the feed, the app would be downloaded to their devices. And so they'd have to subscribe to it, and that would automatically update that feed at any given time. So groups would be required to subscribe to it. And then, well, asked and answered, that's exactly how it's designed to function, and have an app on their devices that they would use to receive and subscribe to various feeds. You could, of course, subscribe to more than one and receive it on a regular basis. And I also see, and I don't, well, if we're going to bring it up, there's an alternate question regarding videos or mini videos for step-by-step processes. Kelly had touched base on that earlier, that the Carousel Academy, which is a component of our overall onboarding, is available to anyone and everyone. The Carousel Academy has both a video and a PDF documentation for whatever functionality is being discussed. So it could be as general as the terms that we use within Carousel, to something far more esoteric, perhaps using our APIs for a specific integration. Carousel Academy highlights every aspect of how to use Carousel, from the most basic and fundamental things like our terms, channels, zones, and bulletins, to hooking up your overall Carousel digital signage to an emergency notification system sponsored at your university, utilizing common alerts protocol for an alert push to Carousel should there be a fire or some other type of emergency. You want that messaging to go to your digital signage as well. Anything from as simple to as complex as that is included in the Academy, both video and PDFs, because we recognize that not everybody learns through watching videos. Some people want to have a printed document in front of them while they're using it. We provide both across any aspect of Carousel's platform. This is a tricky one, Kelly. You've been around a long time here. They are end of life, but some, I'm going to get myself in trouble here, some can work.
Well, when BrightSign typically announces the end of life, they're not putting out firmware and things like that for the devices any longer. So our support for them shortens up as well. So we're not able to support them, as long as BrightSign is not supporting them. I would go ahead and start looking into options for upgrading.
Yeah.
And I did want to also comment on the question about the feed earlier. For employees on the floor, we have something called the Carousel Daily, which is kind of a app that you can download or access for use on your mobile device. There are also other ways for you to kind of get that information out with content feeds as well. For example, they can output to a URL, but you could like embed that, for example, in like a website, right? That someone could bookmark and just go visit via a web browser if you wanted to. We have some customers that like embed these kind of links into like their SharePoint sites and things that employees have access to anyway. So you could also access something like that too.
Great point. Great question. And I believe we just discussed the other day that, as a matter of fact, there are plans to update the Canva integration. It was just discussed, ironically, just the other day. We can follow up with specifics on this. I'm very happy to. But yes, there are plans, and I'm sorry that it hasn't always worked for your staff. We seek to make all of our integrations as easy to use and as applicable as possible. So I do know that there are plans to make changes to Canva, and we can follow up with you directly on that. Thank you for asking. It's a great question. Integrations can always be made simpler and better. Very good question.
Yeah, that is a great question. So a variety of different ways. I will say typically conversations will often start around deployments with either kind of the communications or marketing team or HR. At some point, IT is typically involved. If not, if for nothing else, but for approving whatever devices kind of go on the network. And as far as kind of getting things set up, you don't really have to be super techy. A lot of it is pretty straightforward. Some of it does depend on kind of the media player that you choose. There are some that are more easier to set up, certainly, than others. But I would say, generally speaking, it doesn't have to be a big tech dive.
Absolutely, Kelly. And also with that question too, you're kind of right, like IT for setup, but then your HR generalist, Carousel supports the use of templates, which is effectively a form that you would then fill out. So an HR generalist, as an example, all they may have to know how to do is to open up Carousel and fill out the template that they're in charge of, because you have 2 guests showing up today at a particular time of day. So it can be made very, very straightforward for a non-technical person to simply open up Carousel, drag and drop content into a pre-made form that they're simply filling out, and then that they're publishing out to your digital signage. So very rare that any individual needs to be very technical to utilize Carousel on the day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm an English major from a state school and I can use it. So, I mean, that's my litmus test for everybody here. You'll be just fine. But yeah, your core users do not need to be super techie in any way, shape, or form. And with the permissions we support and with our customer success team, we can always help to set up workflows that map to the DNA of your organization and what the workflow needs are of your team. Because we recognize some people are more technical than others. You're very kind. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for attending today. This has been fantastic. We really appreciate everybody's time, everybody's commentary, and your thoughtful questions. It's very rewarding.
If there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll give it another minute. And then we will call it a day for the webinar. So we'll just wait a little bit longer just to see if there's any other questions that come in.
Yes, all questions regarding Pro or Enterprise subscriptions immediately receive a 10% discount.
Oh, John.
If you're in California, no.
All right, it looks like there's no other questions. Thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate you coming today and spending time with us. And we will be following up with the winner of the $100 gift card later today, if not tomorrow morning. Thanks everyone.
Fantastic. Good luck, everybody. Thank you. Take care, guys.